The z-statistic, or sometimes the standardizing score, is something that tries to place an individual kind of in relation to its population and figure out how different it is than its group. So the z-statistic, the formula is you take an individual's piece of information and subtract the mean. So this is the mean or average, okay? So you just figure out, well, how different is it than the average? And then you divide that by the standard deviation to basically say how many deviations away from the mean is it. So let's do an example. So let's say in a certain kind of business that in the 1950s, the average worker made $130 a week with this standard deviation. In the 1990s, in the same industry, the average worker made $650 a week with a standard deviation of 90. So a couple things to notice here. Of course, the average is much higher and the deviation is higher. So in this first one, I said, Corinne makes $150 a week. We're going to calculate her z-statistic. So 150 minus 130. So just how different is it? Divided by 15. And that is 1.3 repeating, or I'll just go 1.33. Now for Nora, she made 750 minus 650 divided by 90. And this is 1.11. So in this case, Nora obviously makes more money. She makes 750 compared to 150, and significantly more. But if we were just comparing them to the other workers of their time period, Corinne is further above average. So relative to their workforce at the time, Corinne is more above average. And this is the purpose of the z-statistic, is placing you in the context of who you're actually, like what your population is doing that you're coming from. One note, this number right here, this will always be the value that we are kind of questioning. How different than the mean is it? So the mean will always go here. The deviation will always go here. And I say that because if you came along and said, let's say Jen makes $120. Oftentimes people think, well, should I put the 120 second so that I don't get a negative? And the answer is no. You should absolutely calculate this to get that negative value, because the negative represents the fact that in this case Jen is below average. She's below the average worker, and that's what the negative symbolizes, and we want to keep that. Okay, so a positive indicates the individual is above the average. A negative would indicate that they are below the average, and we want that to be part of our calculation. So again, z-statistic is just figuring out how different in terms of standard deviation, how many deviations away from the average is an individual. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe for more math help.